When there's a child born with osteogenesis imperfecta, OI, or broken bone syndrome, a breakable child, handle with care. When that child has a sister who becomes invisible in the family and cuts herself to feel, is bulimic, dyes her hair blue to be seen, handle with care. When the husband father would not say that his breakable daughter is the product of a wrongful birth, handle with care. When the wife mother can see no way how to secure the future of her breakable daughter and sues her best friend, her OBGYN doctor, and upsets and destroys her family, handle with care. Join Kindred as we discuss Jodi Picoult's Handle with Care.
When you open a book, you can explore new lands, make new friends, and discover new adventures. There are amazing possibilities when you open your mind to reading. Explore new worlds. Read.
Hello, welcome to a book discussion with Kindred. Joining me today is Beverly.
Hello.
Denise.
Hi.
Carlota.
Hi.
And Omifa.
Hello.
Welcome, ladies. It's been a while. Today we're going to be discussing Handle with Care by Jodi Picoult. What do we know about the author?
Well, she's not new to us.
No.
We've done a couple of her books before, but I didn't know this information about her. She studied creative writing at Princeton and had 2 short stories published in 17 magazine while she was still a student. And after she graduated, she had a series of, jobs. She was a technical writer for Wall Street, a copywriter at an ad agency. She was an editor at a textbook publisher, and she was an 8th grade English teacher.
Oh.
And before entering Harvard to pursue a master's degree in education, she married Tim Van Leer, and whom she'd met at Princeton. And while she was pregnant with her first child, she wrote her first novel, The Humpback Whale.
Oh, okay.
And since then, she has written 17 books, I think. She has numerous awards. She wrote 5 issues of the Wonder Woman comic book series for DC Comics. We didn't know that. Her books are translated into 4 languages, 34 languages in 35 countries.
Wow.
And 3 of those, The Pact, Plain Truth, and The 10th Circle, have been made into television movies. And of course, her big screen movie was My Sister's Keeper, which we did on the show a couple months ago.
Yeah.
So she's married, and she has 3 teenagers and a list of ducks and geese and everything else they've listed.
How about the title of the book, Handle with Care?
Well, the title of the book, Handle with Care, I think if you saw the tease, you would definitely get an idea of what handle with care means. This story is about a child whose bones break very easily due to a congenital condition. She's a breakable child, and things that break you have to handle with care. But really there's a larger meaning, because every relationship in the novel is essentially fragile and easily broken. So the moral of the story is you have to handle life with care.
Yeah.
So it's the title is right on.
Apropos. Yeah, I would say so. How about the writing style?
It was written in the second-person narrative voice, which allowed you to get a full look of each character. And it was almost as though each character was telling you their point of view and how they were connected to Willow, the main character in the book. So it was well written, easy to follow.
And you know what? The other thing that I observed is the type that they used for
that's
each
true.
character was different.
Yeah.
Oh.
Except Willow's type was similar. It looked like it was the combination of everybody's type.
And also, she really writes beautifully.
Yes.
You could feel everybody's pain.
right.
You experience every person, you know, in the full, and that was good.
And I like the way when we got each character's perspective, you understood where that character was coming from, and it made sense to you. It made sense why they were going through the changes that they were going through the whole book.
Well, why don't I share a little bit about Handle with Care so our audience will have kind of a foundation for our discussion. Sean and Charlotte O'Keefe are the parents of Willow. This is their second marriage. They have a daughter, Amelia, who's about 12, 13 years old. And the story really centers around their relationship with Willow and a family's journey in raising a disabled child, and their joy, their pains, their sorrows, and how all of this love and effort toward the disabled child Willow really begins to affect every part of the lives of the characters in the book. The book opens with a scene, actually with the voice of Amelia, talking about and excited about going to Disney World, the very first family vacation, and being very excited. And we get a sense of all of the steps and planning that goes into this vacation, and everything is surrounded about Willow, what rides we can go on, the baby rides, those are the safe rides. There's some discussion around making sure we have all of the paperwork, and there's a doctor's note that they carry everywhere they go to explain Willow's condition. And Amelia is given that important task of getting that information, and they get to Disney World and she's forgotten it. And that's when the first picture of the joy, the pain, the sorrows that this family experiences through their process surface for us. The parents are arrested for child abuse because they can't define why their daughter is so breakable. So the assumption is they are abusers. And where do we go from there? And it really sets the tone. Charlotte and Sean are faced with a very difficult decision when they're presented with the option of suing for a wrongful birth. How did you feel about the lawsuit?
You know, it was very mixed feelings for me, because as a parent, you know you want the best for your kid, and whatever when you have this kind of breakable, fragile child who is going to suffer through life because of her illness, you want to be able to provide the best, and the lawsuit would probably give her the means to provide for this child. So on that level, you understand it, but on another level, it just felt so morally wrong that she had to say that she would have aborted this child, that she was not given the choice, and if she was given a choice, maybe she would not have given birth to a child with that severe a defect. So even though you know, it was, the author put you that you could make a decision. You could see both sides.
Right.
And you had to straddle the fence, really, even though you had strong feelings about both. And that's how it left me.
Well, it definitely was a very, very complicated matter, and it was even further complicated because the OBYN for Charlotte was her best friend Piper. And they were suing, essentially, she was suing basically her best friend.
Right.
And if Piper was not her best friend, would the feelings about the wrongful birth suit be any different?
You know what? It might not have. I think the same issues would arise because for Sean, he was adamant about, I am not going to say that it was wrong for my daughter to ever been born.
Right.
I'm not going to do it. For Charlotte, her whole thing is, And she didn't even have the idea at first.
Right.
Because when they ended up going to the lawyer's office because of how Florida treated them, had arrested them and what have you, because Willow had fallen and broken her bones and stuff. And he went in, they went to the lawyers to sue Florida and Disney World.
Right.
And then the lawyer came up and said, well, and when they questioned him further, the lawyer came up, well, what about wrongful birth? Charlotte hadn't even thought about doing anything like this. But that put the seed, because on top of this, the child it's very expensive to take care of the child, and the insurance doesn't cover all of it. So this whole wrongful birth and what have you, both Sean and Charlotte came at it from different angles.
Right.
Sean wasn't going to have any of it, but Charlotte she's trying to say, I'm doing this for the benefit of my daughter, you know, because she needs, you know, care, and her care is expensive.
Do you think that Charlotte really understood what the price would be in terms of her relationship with Piper?
I think that she knew that. I think that she knew that if she was going to sue Piper, because remember, just before the Piper got when they not
Served
the
the
warrant,
papers?
got served the papers. The week before, they had gone out shopping.
Yes, they had.
And Charlotte was already kind of, oh gosh, you know, this is my best friend and I'm going to be doing this to her. She couldn't even really enjoy the shopping trip knowing what was coming. So I think Charlotte knew that, and she knew that she was going to lose Piper as a friend, but her whole goal, once she had it in her head, was she needed money for her daughter.
Well, you know, the author definitely focuses on the best friend, but the other person that the author focuses on is Willow herself, and how Willow would be affected by this decision. And one of the things that Charlotte says to Willow during kind of this whole struggle is, I would not have wished for an able-bodied child because the able-bodied child would not have been you. Is Charlotte giving Willow a double message?
I don't think she was giving her a double message, because when she took the sonogram, remember she said she was going to have the baby no matter what.
She did.
So I think she was telling the child the truth, but she didn't tell her why. I don't think she gave her enough information, so she wouldn't feel like her mom didn't really want her.
Right.
With the wrongful death suit.
I don't think there's any amount of information that you could give a child. Willow was a very advanced child for her age, very intelligent, as they say these children with this disorder, which is a real disorder, are. And Willow was on the internet all the time. I'm sure Willow was Googling the case. The case was big news. It was in all the newspapers. It was on the internet. People at the OI convention were Googling, finding out information. I don't think there's much that Charlotte could say. I mean, Charlotte could say to Willow, oh, I love you. I'd do anything for you. I'm only doing this for you to get money for you. I'm lying to get money for you. But Willow's still going out there and seeing what Charlotte is saying in public. And when you're a child, you can't put those two things together. So I don't really think there was any way that Charlotte could make it right once she got out in public and said, my child was born wrongfully and never should have been born, and I would have aborted her had I known. If I were the child hearing that, even if my mother said, no, sweetie, I'm just saying it to get you money.
Now, so are you saying she was sending her mixed messages?
I think it was a double message. Yes, I think it was. And furthermore, I don't have faith that Charlotte, I mean, I know that Charlotte said she would never have had the abortion, but I don't necessarily think that's true.
You think she would have had an abortion?
I think she may have. I don't think Charlotte really, I think Charlotte felt guilty about the fact that she didn't completely want Willow, and I think that was part of the motivation for her whole behavior.
See, now I disagree. I believe one of the things that I faulted Charlotte was when she decided to go through this lawsuit. I think that when she was talking to her kids about it, when she finally decided to talk to them about it, she was talking about it in a convoluted way.
That's what I just said.
No, but I think that when she was talking to Willow about the whole case, she wasn't very direct to me.
But how could she have been any more direct? I mean, she's balancing kind of the horror of what she's doing and with the love that she has for the child, and she's operating from a position that I'm going to protect my child by any means necessary. So, you know, I don't know that she was given a double message. I think that she was struggling with being a good mother. Around that whole process.
Well, I think it was both. I mean, I think that, I mean, maybe Charlotte, I think Willow was getting a double message, or a triple message, or a quadruple message. I mean, everybody.
Well, she was getting.
Well, she had her own.
And not just Willow, but Amelia as well.
Yeah.
Right.
But ladies, it's that time in the show that we need to take a pause for a public service announcement. So please join us when we return in our discussion of Handle with Care by Jodi Picoult. Yeah, we could hear him back there.
When I have an asthma attack, I feel scared. Sometimes my parents have to take me to the hospital. I feel like a fish with no water.
You know how to react to their asthma attacks. Here's how to prevent them. Call 1-866-NO-ATTACKS. Visit www.noattacks.org or call your doctor. Because even one attack is one too many.
Welcome back to the book discussion with Kindred. We're discussing Handle with Care by Jodi Picoult. And before the public service announcement, we were talking about Amelia and how Amelia is affected by Willow's illness. How does Amelia deal with her position as a family, being a preteen, having low self-esteem, being the healthy sister of a very, very ill child?
Amelia is in a very difficult position. Just like everyone else in the family, she's deeply affected by this lawsuit and by the kinds of messages that the lawsuit is creating that's affecting everyone's relationships. But in particular, she has this child, the sister that everyone dotes on, and she also loves, but she also feels tension about, she's conflicted because Willow gets all the attention and it's all about Willow. She never gets to go on a vacation. It's all about Willow. Willow needs, you know, a new brace, so she doesn't get something that she needs. The family has, you know, financial issues. So basically what she does to deal with that is she herself becomes an ill child. But no one knows. She keeps it hidden.
Yes.
So she, first she develops bulimia, which is kind of a secret, you know, she binges and then she purges secretly. And she says that she likes doing it because she has a reason for why she feels so empty inside all the time after she's purged.
Yeah.
Then she starts cutting, self-mutilation. So she goes in the bathroom and she takes her razor blades and she just cuts across her wrists and on her, you know, ankles and so on, and watches the blood flow. And that's another thing that causes her to feel a very sweet release. But then she covers it, so no one knows. So she becomes a sick child. And it's not until the end of the book that her sickness is also, because those kinds of emotional wounds are not visible. Finally at the end of the book. And ironically, the person who tells Charlotte about the danger to her daughter is Piper, the former best friend who Charlotte has destroyed her relationship with by suing her in the wrongful birth suit. But Piper nevertheless still cares enough about the family to get the information. She can't tell her directly, but she gets the information to her about Amelia's illness.
Yeah, I agree with that point of view, but I had another point of view that I thought that Amelia started to see herself as an imperfect child because she failed her sister.
Yes.
She didn't bring the note that she was supposed to have, and she kept doing things that sort of, she was a failure as a sister.
Right.
And so she started right after the incident in Florida, she started doing the bulimic
Well,
actions.
no one ever helped her understand that, and that was too much responsibility
For
to give
a
a child to remember
right.
to bring such an important note.
Right.
And through it all, Willow still looked up to Amelia
Very
because
much so.
Willow discovered the secret, and Willow attempted to emulate the behavior because if it was good for Amelia, she wanted to walk in her sister's footsteps. She talked about wanting to be able to go outside and skate and swim and play like Amelia could. So in some ways, Amelia worked to be an ill child, and Willow worked very hard to be a normal child.
But you know, I didn't. Go ahead.
I thought that Amelia was tired of being invisible.
Right,
And I
that's
think
what
by
I
the
thought.
cutting and some other things, it made her visible
Yes.
to herself and hopefully to other people, but they still weren't seeing her.
But I think it was also, you know, when you're cutting and stuff, you wanted to feel, because she did feel so empty. She did feel invisible, that she was, I mean, she dyed her hair blue, you know, so
they
that
could see
so
her.
that they can see her. And nobody even addressed it. Nobody even addressed
when
it.
you have a sick child and all the energies is towards that sick
Right.
child, the other children do become invisible.
Of course.
Unless you have a whole lot of support and people helping you.
Okay. All the characters in the book would tell their stories to Willow. They felt comfortable talking with her. Why was it easy for the characters in the book to be honest with Willow? Was she the only safe character in the book that they could talk with?
Now I have a probably slightly view of this. If you look at the cover of the book, it's actually showing you the end of the book. And I think actually that's where this book starts, at the end. It reads to me as though it's a eulogy. And each person is giving their account of Willow.
Of her life.
Well, I actually think
Wow.
they're giving their explanation to Willow why I did this.
Right.
I think they're trying to. It was very striking that every character kept having an opportunity to tell her story. You never heard Willow's voice. Willow was always the object of the narrative until the very last scene. And we, of course, we know that very last scene has something to do with the ice and the little girl trying to go out and skate on the ice, just to not to give a too big of a hint about what might happen when a very breakable child goes out on some breakable ice.
Yeah.
But
It's interesting that the cover never shows a face either.
Right.
You
Yeah.
just see that part of her, you know.
So yeah, it's like I agree. I think they're eulogizing and they're talking to a memory, and they're saying, "But this is why I did this."
Right.
You know.
Now, the term wrongful birth suggests that some people should have never been born. How do we determine who's worth living what kind of life?
Well, you know, I really think that that is something that each individual has to say to themselves. You know, if you're a woman and is pregnant and you have, and your child is going to have some kind of deformity, abnormality, or whatever, you as the parent of that child have to determine what you can accomplish, or what can you do. Okay? Some people are able to, take the responsibility of taking care of a disabled child, and some people do not have that capacity. And I don't fault any parent who decides if they to have an abortion if their
So the
child
parents
is that.
get to decide if the child's life is worth living?
Personally, I feel yes. Yes, I do. I feel that if I can't take care of that child that's in me, if I can't take care of the child because it has some type of,
So
debilitating
what's it to say
disability.
that somebody else could take care of that child if that child was born.
Right.
Someone could adopt
Like
that
in the
child.
case of Marin,
okay.
the lawyer.
Exactly.
Okay, for instance,
Yes.
And that's a good parallel in the story.
And I can see that point of view too. But then my thing is, how much pain and anguish does that child have to go through? And it depends on the
Ladies,
disease. Is that
believe it-
time to show?
Believe
Okay.
it or not, it's that time in the show for a book up and a book down. The book was an exciting read. It was very enjoyable. It was very riveting, very emotional, very educational, which is one of the things I enjoy about Picoult's book. I would give it a book up. I think it's a great discussion book. Beverly?
I also would give it a good book up. It touches on topics that you would not normally talk about, and you know, and just like you said, you can learn something from the book. You have compassion for the characters that were in the book. She brings you into the book and makes you part of the book. So I definitely would give this a book up.
Denise?
I really enjoyed the book. I thought she made something that could be difficult writing in the second person narrative very easy to read, but it had lots of twists and lots of information that really relates to some daily issues that people go through, day-to-day issues. So I give it a book up.
Carlota?
Well, I'm not quite ready for book up, book down, because I have a couple more things I have to say. One of the things I want to say is that at the beginning of this book, everybody had everything they needed. They had love, they had family, they had comfort, they had friends. The lawsuit for wrongful birth destroyed all of that. And I think one of the themes of this book is what is more important. Love, comfort, family, friends, all of that, especially when you've got a sick child, or money. At the end of the book, they didn't even cash the check.
That's true.
Okay? Okay. Now, another thing is that the whole issue of wrongful birth. There's a parallel story we didn't get to about a woman who's adopted who finds out at the end of the book that she was the product of rape, and that's why her mother gave her away. But she went back to that woman, she said, "Thank you for not aborting me." I think that's another message of the book. Yeah. So, book up.
Ometha?
Well, I think she's a beautiful writer, but this was a difficult book for me because of the pain. And having read My Sister's Keeper, which again was about a lawsuit and termination of life and all that, it was difficult for me. It's a book that I liked while I was reading it, but I wouldn't read it again, and I don't know if I would recommend it to be read. Okay. So I am, you know, still kind of in the middle, but it was a very good read.
Okay. Well, ladies, that brings us to the end of yet another wonderful discussion. And as usual, Kindred wishes you good reading and good health until the next time. And thank you for tuning in to our book discussion.
When a disaster strikes, time is a killer. The hours following are critical. The UN Central Emergency Response Fund jumpstarts relief efforts, which saves lives. Help us help in time. Donate now at rapiddisasterrelief.org.
What's for breakfast?
Guten Tag!
Johannes, Ross!
I bring you arts in rich treasure.